Abusia na nsan mu yi wuti abefonten fide kese nso na eye awonipa baako pe na wuti ne din eye Kwame Bafo Abronye na nkanim se Abronye de anka yede to omo a wo mpa abro die wo mu ndi abro nanso no Kwame Bafo Abronye Abronyam pa na wo kan sembi de nsembi tudwa na eno na ente aba betodwa de se wo wura bia ba bonten aba be kan kora be se penye plem fa trododo mu se wono de wo se ne pen aka ne pen de atira Ghana ma se de Abronye ye no se wo nipani bia wo taneti a ankese sei anka wo jai na so no de wo gidie pa ese nipa nnum a wo mo epese wo mo ba ko tu franka de NPP wo mo ba ko na wo hye tira wo ya sa na ese nye obi akeke se Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia we yensem abrante de abetu dua se ne kura bi se ne kura bi ennim eno no etoje wono ankasa wo tere se Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia na wo hye Abronye ti emma wo tackle yewura Kennedy akompre ko Agyapong we de boot for boot pa wo butu ni be biada ekeka nsam a ense emfata de ekyere na ebe ba ko bi kura de wo tere se ni sure Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia sure wo hye Kennedy akompre ko Agyapong entimi kura amfa ne ho entoto ensam de wo ka bi papa nanso no Solid TV yankwanko tiemu kakramra.
What actions would you want the party to take against the likes of Abronye?
See, the likes of Abronye, I want the party to suspend them, especially in light of the fact that regional chairmen play a key role in the electoral. Yes, there's a committee and all, but also play a role in relation to supervision and the electoral process. Now, looking at the kind of behavior that he's exhibiting, he's clearly shown that he's extremely biased and unfit to be part of such a process. And someone who has even openly said that he's going to abuse his office and manipulate voter register, take people out of the voter register, is clearly unfit to lead the party and be given such a position of power and privilege because he's going to abuse it. So yes, he has to be suspended. So
I think I asked you an earlier question about Abronye's conduct.
So yes, your question on Abronye's conduct. He's involved in gross misconduct and anti-party behavior.
If you say that he's involved in gross misconduct and anti-party behavior, what specific?
I'll give you specifics. You have a whole regional chairman of MPP insulting an important person like the Archbishop Duncan Williams, who is the de facto head of the charismatic church here in Ghana, and saying unprintable words against him. And we all know the role, if for nothing, even if he has no respect for elders, we all know the role that religion plays in our politics. And trying to pitch someone like him against the NPP alone, it's a very big issue. And someone like him always trying to denigrate Honorable Kennedy, insulting Honorable, saying so many things, unprintable words against Honorable Kennedy, always creating stuff, always lying about Kennedy Azandes, Kennedy. I mean, a lot of them I don't even want to repeat here. Just recently, look at the kind of action things that he did when the General Secretary said that what's his conduct, saying that he's going to remove everybody who doesn't support his candidate from the album. Such ways to rig and manipulate the elections. A whole regional chairman. And you know, per our constitution, a regional chairman is not, his jurisdiction, his work does not just end in the region. The regional chairman sits on the National Executive Committee, they sit on the council of the party. So these are very important positions that they have, and these are the groups that steer the affairs of a party. So for him to say that he was going to take the law into his own hands and do that unconstitutional party act of removing people because they don't support his preferred candidates, it's quite unfortunate, and it's something that he should be disciplined for.
I asked you a question on his preferred candidate, and you said you can confidently tell us that.
But he has always declared that he wasn't.
Well, I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing this.
I mean, he's always declared that he's supporting me. I think this is no news. He's always declared, and is where he makes it obvious that the actions that he's been taking is because of Dr. Bawumia. And I mean, there's something very important that I think that we should be able to find out. You know, the fact that Dr. Bawumia is a very fine gentleman, and at all points in time he tells us, or he speaks about the fact that he wants unity. He will not insult anybody, or he will not put himself in any position that is going to bring disunity in the party. However, he continues to condone the actions of Abonye, who is a supporter.
You say he condones the actions of Abonye.
No, I'm coming to that.
Exactly.
He condones the actions of Abonye. He's not being able to call Abonye to order. And this is at a point. This is a point where, at this point, people actually believe that for looking at all the actions, unbecoming actions, and all the negative actions, and all what Abonye is doing, and the fact that Dr. Bawumia has not been able to speak against it, it looks like this is a tacit approval of what Abonye does.
In other words, are you saying that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is behind Abonye's conduct?
I mean, if he's not able to call him to order, then it will be a good assertion to
Aren't you being unfair to the former vice president?
I'm not being unfair to him.
The fact that he's not speaking about it, the fact that he's not called him to order,
as a leader, he's the biggest beneficiary of all that Abonye is doing. Dr. Bawumia is the biggest beneficiary of all that, and Abonye is doing all this because of him attacking religious leaders, attacking party leaders, putting the name of the party into disrepute. He's doing all this because of Dr. Bawumia, believing that all this that he's doing, Dr. Bawumia is going to benefit from.
What you call an attack could be criticism from or emanating from the quarters of Abonye.
I mean, I don't want to take this as an invitation to even repeat some of the things that he says.
Well, you are limited to repeat some of the things
that he says are unprintable words, and are not things that I want to say. But I think that these are things of public record. But what I want to say is that if Dr. Bawumia is indeed,
for instance, that Agyapong, what are the unprintable things that he said against Agyapong?
And I think these are things on record. I don't want to repeat. I don't repeat them. I don't even.
Well, I can recall that of the Archbishop. But that's what
I don't think that you don't want to repeat here.
I wouldn't want to repeat
exactly.
that. I don't know. I'm telling you that criticisms emanating from his quarters.
I'm saying that these are pure insults.
These are directed at Agyapong. But you are saying that he's now been insulting Agyapong, saying unprintable words or unprintable things against Agyapong. Then you must be able to say it. What exactly has he said that has amounted to an insult?
You know why it's not necessary. I think when it comes to Abonye and his conduct, right, everybody in this country knows some of the things he says. And you see, especially when it comes to insults and others, even per culture, if someone sends you to someone instructs you to go and tell this your uncle or your dad or an elderly person in society that he's a fool, you the messenger going there and repeating these same words actually means that you the messenger is the one sending the insult, or the one actually the one insulting, right? So these are issues of public record. I think that as of now, everybody knows, everybody has seen the conduct of Abonye, and I think that what is happening is that the real beneficiary now always comes out to paint a different picture as to he wanting peace, he not supporting such kind of behavior, and he saying that he will not involve himself in such kind of behavior, but staying silent when such behavior is conducted becomes a tacit approval. I think that it is good. It is for his own good and for the good of for his own good. I mean, Dr. Bawumia to come out to condemn the actions of Abonye, or he'll be seen to be the one behind it, or to be given tacit approval for it. Two, I mean, as I said, there are two things involved. So, I mean, this sends the impression that either he's the one behind it, or two, he's not able to correct people within his own fold when they go wrong. And looking at the kind of trouble, the kind of problems that we face as a country and even as a party, where there's so much indiscipline, where even Dr. Bawumia himself talks about the fact that NPP lost, mainly also one of the main reasons the NPP lost was the fact that there was arrogance of power. If he's not able to correct people within his own fold, then what kind of leadership would he also be offering? And would that be the leadership that will be able to steer NPP to victory 2028? And if he's given the mantle, is that kind of the leadership that Ghana wants? These are all legitimate questions that people can ask. So I think that it is for his own good that he comes out clearly and unequivocally to condemn the actions of that.
If you look at
or he'll be seen to be approving.
If you look at the statement emanating from the quarters of the Bono Regional Chairman of your party, Abronye, he accused Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, a senior figure within the NPP, of actions he claimed have been detrimental to the cohesion of the party. Now,
yes, someone who makes statements that he's going to take out people from the album because they are not supporting his candidates.
I'm asking you a question based on this. Now, if Honorable Kennedy Agyapong has done something or said something that a regional chairman of a party feels is quite detrimental to the cohesion of a party and states the obvious, why should Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia call him to order?
If so is a believer of Dr. Bawumia, then that also shows the kind of leader he is.
No, I'm asking a simple question.
And I'm also giving a simple answer.
It looks like you are blaming Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for the conduct of Abronye, because what you are saying is that once he has been very quiet, once he's been very silent, it means that is a tacit approval of what.
So if Dr. Bawumia believes is the right thing, so he will let it go. It is a tacit.
But you see, the gentleman has said that.
So I'm saying that whether or not what he is doing,
done things that are detrimental to the cohesion of a party.
Whether or not what he is doing,
and if he states the obvious,
if he says it's obvious,
why should that be a problem?
If you claim, right,
Abronye has his opinions, right?
So if you claim is okay and Dr. Bawumia has to leave it, that's still
no. I'm asking why should Dr. Bawumia fight opinions of Abronye?
I mean, let me show you what true leadership is.
Okay.
There was a time when Wontumi was arrested, there was a gentleman called Alex Tete. Okay, this Alex Tete was a town supporter of Honorable Kennedy, and Alex made very serious comments in relation to Wontumi's arrest. And Honorable Kennedy, and I think that it had followed up a couple of times.
Yeah.
And Honorable Kennedy says, "Gentleman, I can't work with you again because yes, you support me." But being supporting me and saying some of these things in which you believe I will be the ultimate beneficiary, these do not go with my principles. And as a leader of his principles, you are no longer part of my campaign team. I'll give you another example. There was a gentleman called Kwekwanan on
he used to be on it.
On it too. And I mean, he became very popular. Because he had this one show on Honorable Kennedy there they used to do I think bi-weekly or so. So he also used certain unprintable words, or let me say he insulted Dr. Bawumia. Honorable Kennedy sacked him on the spot, and since then he didn't work for the two again. You could have said he could have decided to hide under the cloak of these are his opinions, but he showed true leadership. He showed true leadership by saying that I see that you are doing all these things for me, but these go against my principles as a leader. And by virtue of the fact that they go against my principles as a leader, I'm not going to endorse it. So gentlemen, step aside from my campaign team. Gentlemen, step aside from my TV station. That is what true leaders do. So if Dr. Bawumia believes that, unless he sees nothing wrong with it, if he sees nothing wrong with it too, I mean that's also a different signal. But if he believes that indeed what Abronye is doing is anti-party, Abronye is becoming unbecoming, insulting Archbishop and co, he would have to call him to order and publicly denounce his activities.
Now let me read the portion.
Not moving around with him in his campaign bars. I remember when Abronye did something similar when we went to Bruno region during the thank you tour. During the thank you tour, after he did that, after he tried to anger Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, said so many things. Right from his speech, the first person he shook hands with before sitting down, your guess is good as mine, was Dr. Bawumia.
Anyway, now let me read a portion of his statement. Quote, I hereby write to indicate my full preparedness and willingness to appear before the committee to comprehensively lay bare and substantiate the antichrist actions and inactions of Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, which have undermined the cohesion and integrity of our party, Abronye stated. So he is saying that, well, I have stated those things. I have evidence to prove that he has done things that undermine the cohesion and unity of the party. Well, that's the more reason why he's facing the disciplinary committee. Why call on Dr. Bawumia again? I think that is where I have a problem.
What is your problem?
My problem is that in our local parliament, there's a appointment Korean and Mako now why team of facing. So
okay. Let me also reply with something in our local parlance. In our local parlance, you also say paying or tenefima inquiry nankano. You can inquiry for a day.
Okay. So in other words, are you saying that if Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, I hope you know Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is assistant. I don't know what your party constitution says, but currently he's not the leader of the party. It's easy. Yes, he's just an other member, just like any other person else in the campaign.
You see, if I am here in Honorable Agyapong's campaign team, if I go wrong and Honorable Agyapong is not able to discipline me, then he's not a good leader.
But is that not the more reason why the party has taken it up?
And I'm saying that
the people
even before the party takes
are
it
responsible
up,
for taking
before the party takes it
have taken it up, and you're still calling on Dr. Bawumia to speak or to utter a word or call the gentleman.
This is an advice to to his fold. Even before the party takes it up,
okay,
he the leader who is the ultimate beneficiary, who preaches peace, who preaches unity, who tells us that he will not insult any candidates and he's going to go about his campaign in a clean way. But the same vein, his close associates are going to this extent to denigrate other candidates. We'll always, I need to choose my words carefully, but his close associates are going this way to denigrate other candidates. If he doesn't come out to criticize it, there are two things. It's either he approves of it or he's not able to discipline his own people, and they are both not good for the party.
Viewers, you are still watching the Prime Points right here on Pan African Television with me, Justice Apia. We are discussing the internal wranglings in the New Patriotic Party. We're also looking at their internal elections and, of course, the upcoming election, the flag bearership race and stuff like that. So, in other words, are you equally seeing that persons who are supporting Honorable Agyapong and have been making, distasteful statements against the party, are actually doing so because they have the approval of Honorable Agyapong?
No, and I'm showing what I want to tell you, and I've given you two examples, right, of Honorable Kennedy cracking the whip.
Okay.
I've given you two.
But why is it not cracking the whip on?
I've given you two examples of Honorable Kennedy cracking the whip. I gave you the example of Honorable Kennedy cracking the whip of Alex Tete after he spoke to him a couple of times on the issue, and same continued. He cracked the whip. In fact, he was public in condemning his acts and said publicly, "Gentlemen, you are not part of my campaign." Two, on his own gentleman who worked for his station, when this gentleman insulted Dr. Bawumia, he cracked the whip. But there is no evidence of Dr. Bawumia cracking the whip on anybody. Look at what Wontumi was alluding to. The fact that they had scheme planned to organize this election in a way that favors Dr. Bawumia. Dr. Bawumia is silent. Anyway, today I see that Nana Komia has also, I've seen photos that Nana Komia is running for chairman. Maybe that is Dr. Bawumia's way of distancing himself from Wontumi. But
we'll come to that. But you give me examples of people who have been, reprimanded by Honorable Agyapong, when they went wrong and stuff like that. But recently, we've also heard Abua Papon, who supports Honorable Agyapong.
okay.
He made certain statements against the party. One of those statements that the party isn't comfortable with is about criticizing the demonstration that the party embarked on with respect to Galamsey. I'm sure you heard the things that he said in that video. If you want me to play it out to you,
you can.
I'm sure he was doing so in support of Honorable Agyapong.
How?
Well, but who does he speak for? He speaks for Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. He's supporting Agyapong.
Let me show you the difference.
The question is,
when he supports Honorable Kennedy, when Abonye insults Honorable Kennedy, he insults Honorable Kennedy to denigrate him, so he loses his standing in the eyes of the right-thinking members of the party in favor of Bawumia. The same Archbishop situation. He was also talking, even the Archbishop, I mean, sometimes it's even too heavy for me to talk about it, because sometimes even repeating some of these things already. And the same Archbishop situation was about another political issue in relation to Dr. Bawumia when he made such comments. Now, Abonye was speaking on Galamsey as an issue with no reference or no relation to Kennedy at all. These are two different issues. One is when
also Bempa was speaking.
One on the relation to Bawumia and his opponent, where Dr. Bawumia himself has openly said, and he's been very categorical, that he is not going to insult any opponent. He is going to do things that are not going to trigger any factionalism or disunity within the party. So he has been very clear on that. That he's not going to trigger any factionalism or disunity in the party. He's not going to insult any opponent. But right beside him are people who are doing that, and he still sits in the same campaign bus with him, still moves with them when people are insulting his number one opponent. What do you think? Don't you think that's an endorsement? And don't you think it's the right call for me to say that, Doctor, these are your words, and per your words, you claim that you want unity within the party, you don't want to insult anybody within the party.
You think that
if this person who is basically a very strong part of your party, of your campaign team, someone who sits in your campaign bus, I mean, that sitting in that campaign bus,
let's do this.
Someone who sits in your campaign bus works with you, and that's these same things that you speak about, you should be able to condemn.
So you think that somebody who questions the previous government's fight against Galamsey and the fact that the previous government failed in the fight against Galamsey wasn't questioning the credibility of the former vice president, who is equally contesting to lead the party?
You see, the difference is that when he talks about the MPP government, he talks about everybody, all of us, okay? And even within the party, when we look at
he was very specific. It was addressed to
I just want to give an example.
And did not do it.
Brazen insults and even talking about party decisions during the government are two different things. For instance, all of us, including even Dr. Bawumia himself, when he's now you see, I saw your day, haven't you heard that from him? Is that anti-party conduct? When Dr. Bawumia himself went round to say that he's sorry for all the wrongs we did, it means, according to him, there were wrongs. Was that anti-party conduct? When Dr. Bawumia came out openly during the thank you tour to say that 3 days to elections, fuel prices were reduced, and he didn't know about it, was that anti-party conduct? Should he be sanctioned because of that? These are two different scenarios.
Okay.
The fact that you are from a political party does not necessarily mean that when you see, you can't criticize a certain policy, or you can't say that in issue A, B, C, D, we think that the party didn't do certain things right. For instance, when the party was in power, we had issues with our economy. We promised to have a stable currency. Our currency at a point rose to the level of 17 Ghana cedis to $8 to a dollar. All of us, whether businessmen or not, sometimes we do some interaction. We have certain interactions and others where you need to use foreign currency. In such a situation, if I say that I think that with the management of the economy, our party didn't do as well as we wanted it to be, is that anti-party conduct. This is something different for, first of all, lying, like especially being a NEC member, coming out to say that there's a disciplinary proceeding against Honorable Kennedy when there was nothing. Insulting Honorable Kennedy and using personal, like going personal with him, saying things that are unprintable. I've been very careful.
What are you expecting Dr. Bawumia to do?
To condemn him. To condemn him. Yes, I don't expect much from. I expect him to condemn him. If indeed he's for the unity of the party, if indeed he doesn't support this conduct, let's condemn him. That's what true leaders do. And I'm saying it's pointing out to two different things.
Failure to condemn him.
I mean, I amounts to what? But you see, failure to condemn him sends two different signals, two signals, and none of them are good for him.
Okay.
Either he's in support of what Dr. Bawumia, of what Agyapong is doing, and he comes out to look, he comes out, sees the right words, but he hides behind people to do that. Or two, he can't correct people within his own fold, and these are two dangerous things for us as a party.
Do you think that if Dr. Bawumia wanted to condemn or call Agyapong to order, he wouldn't have done it long ago?
I mean, he has had so many opportunities to do that. I still don't think it's too late.
So at this moment, would you conclude that Dr. Mahmoud,
I'm saying, do
you think that his silence amounts to a tacit approval, just like you said earlier, or somebody who is behind the actions of Agyapong?
I'm saying there are two different things. It could be that it's a tacit approval. It could be that he's also afraid of the consequences of addressing someone like that on such an issue. Looking at how erratic Agyapong is and what he may see as the consequences. But as a true leader, if that is the case, then that is still a problem for us. Because as a true leader, the mark of a true leader is being able to discipline your own people. So if indeed Dr. Bawumia even doesn't approve it and he's not able to discipline him, imagine Dr. Bawumia coming to government and appointing someone like Agyapong. Look at the kind of conduct that he's going to exhibit. And if you have a president who is not able to correct such people, then where are we heading towards? I remember even Dr. Bawumia himself has been very emphatic that he thinks that one of the reasons why we lost our election power, you need a disciplinarian to correct such actions. So if within your own fold you are not able to correct them, then whilst in power there's going to be more arrogance of power. And I don't know, it's like maybe, I don't know, and you know, there's this growing perception about people and people's doubts his ability to call people to order when things are going wrong or to make certain decisions, and these may all make that perception linger.
Do you think that the former vice president could be considered in our local parlance as Openye Otenfirma and Kolare Nanka?
I said it very clear.
No. Do you think that
I've said it very clear that Dr. Bawumia is someone I like so much, and that is not a perception that I want for him, and that is why the advice to him is that Open not and Kolare Nanka, you can't encourage for a day or come so he should quickly call Agyapong to order.
He should, what if he fails to do it?
He will let that perception linger.
I'm glad you said perception. Now let's move away from that. I mean, I saw a video, you know, I think, was it yesterday or within the week or something like that, or last week or something? The General Secretary was in the studios of today he was studio Net 2.
Yes.
And it looks as if he made some amendments that are quite different from what Honorable Agyapong equally did. I don't know where he was speaking. I'm talking about Honorable Agyapong, if he was on a campaign platform or something like that for the vice president. But it had to do with some, changes that were effected in the party, and it has to do with allowing some executives to be part of the voting process in internal elections and all that. One person, I think the General Secretary actually attributed that to Agyapong. Whilst Agyapong was also talking about the fact that
Agyapong is a very smart person.
That was done by
a very smart
the former vice president.
He's a very smart communicator I like so much.
How did he take that?
He's a very smart communicator I like so much. You see, Agyapong communicated in such a way that it created a certain perception, but there was also a leeway for him to run away if the issue became controversial. Why? So this is how it happened. Especially during the thank you tour.
Yeah.
After the election. I mean, I think that was the first time our party leaders were actually coming out to describe party issues. Dr. Bawumia initially focused on what we used to call the blame game, because this was done by Kufuor, or this I didn't know that for instance there were, and I mean it became very topical. First of all, he spoke about the 3% increment in fuel prices and said no increment of fuel prices 3 days to election, and they didn't even tell him. He spoke about so many other things, arrogance of power and others, which seemed to shift the blame to someone else. Kennedy was focused on 2 things: unity and how we treat our party members. So Kennedy was very emphatic that he believes that he used himself as an example, and I was in this store with him, that he has been an MP for 6 terms, 24 years. He's now leaving Parliament, and per the party's constitution, he won't even be recognized in such a way that he can even vote during elections. And the other people who have suffered for the party, who have suffered for the party since 92, they are no longer in power, and now the party doesn't even recognize them as worthy enough to decide and select leaders for the party. So this is wrong, and his advocacy, his number one issue that he's advocating for is the fact that these people should be given a voice to vote. So fast forward, after the thank you tour, this committee, constitutional amendment committee, started this week, and Kennedy's concerns were so popular that other leaders in the party bought into it. And if you listen to Ponkuma, he said he was a member of the committee. Now this committee started this week after the thank you tour, when Kennedy had been very emphatic about it. And he said during the consultation process, when they spoke to people like Dr. Bawumia, he was very supportive of it. And in fact, he was very strong in championing this thing happening. So it's obvious that he has a leeway to say that as of that time, Dr. Bawumia supported it. But if you are talking about who made the call for the old executives to be brought back into the fold of the party and to be made delegates, it was Honorable Kennedy. And Dr. Bawumia may have supported it later when he realized it was a popular decision. But you see, he made it in such a way and presented it in such a way that it was Dr. Bawumia's call for these people, or for the old executives.
So would you say that the Honorable Member of Parliament was dishonest with his assertion?
If you listen to him, I'll be unfair to him to say he was dishonest. I just think that
somebody made a call.
Yes.
The party listened to the call. They, went further to do consultations in order to consider the said call that the person made. Then somebody, after some few months, stood somewhere and said, oh, it was another person who supported the said call. And
I think that the word is honest, maybe.
But what word did he use then?
I think that he skillfully tried to paint the picture that was Dr. Bawumia.
A decorated monkey would always be a monkey. If somebody skillfully,
that's why I said I won't use the word dishonest.
Okay,
but
are you afraid to say that he was dishonest?
No. If he's dishonest, he's dishonest. Okay. I just think that in this situation, he's a journalist like you are.
Yes.
And he tries, sometimes journalists, people try to communicate in such a way that it may have a double meaning, create a certain impression, but depending on the circumstance, he can always have a way out, and that's the kind of communication he did. I mean, which he does very well. But the truth and what is obvious is that it was Honorable Kennedy's call.
Somebody made a call. Someone else who was making a statement and would have to attribute whatever it is that was done to the person who made the call. The person fails to do it and would want to paint a picture as though it was another person who made that happen. And you're saying that you cannot say that the person is dishonest, but rather the person skillfully did what?
I won't use the word dishonest. And especially even if I use the word dishonest, after the show, that will become the topic. Obiama says Okonkoma is dishonest. But I think the takeaway here is that it was Kennedy's call.
It was Kennedy's call.
It was Kennedy's call.
So he wasn't factual.
Who Okonkoma?
Yes.
The most important fact was that it was Kennedy's call.
So when it wasn't factual.
When it became popular, people like Bawumia supported it.
Or would you say he wasn't truthful?
No, as I said, if you listen to his statements, he was just selective as to what to say. There was no lie in his statement. Because I really listened to his statement carefully. He was selective with his words to paint.
So let me ask you a simple question. Between the person who made the call and between the person who made the call and the one who was consulted, who should this change be attributed to?
No, it's Kennedy, obviously.
So if somebody stands somewhere and said, if somebody stood somewhere and said, oh, but for this person, this wouldn't have been done.
He didn't say but for.
I listened to him. He was speaking key. And the best translation
I'm saying, you see, I don't want us to focus on Okonkoma. Now, what is the fact? The fact was Kennedy's call. That is the facts. It was Kennedy's call.
All right. Okay. Now let's look at the candidates. I mean, the persons who have, put themselves out there for this flag bearership race. I know that Brian Agyapong is there, Agyapong is there, Dr. Bawumia is there, Honorable Duchum is there, Agyapong is there, and some other people, I'm sure. Honorable Tim Forjo feels that the best bet for the New Patriotic Party going into the 2028 election is Dr. Bawumia. You are supporting Honorable Agyapong. Your take on this position?
It's not supported by data. Dr. Bawumia has given us our ways defeat in the history of the party. Yes, we had 41%. Sometimes when you talk about this defeat, people try to compare this defeat to the defeat in 1996, saying that President Kufuor had 39%. But mind you, President Kufuor showed. You see, like when I talk about defeat, it's not just about where you actually finally end up, but it's about the kind of resources, the kind of trust, and everything put in you. If we go for, let's say, if Real Madrid is 8th in La Liga, Real Madrid being 8th in La Liga is far worse than Osasuna being 15th. You know why? The kind of resources involved in Real Madrid, the kind of trust involved in like Real Madrid has, and what has been given to the team will determine what is your expectation. President Kufuor, who came into at a time where MPP had 1.2 million votes in the 1992 election. After the 1996 election, President Kufuor was able to double and add on from 1.2 million to 2.8 million. That is what you call progress. That is when, even though he had 39%, he had shown that he was building something. He had shown that he was doing something good. At a time when he was elected on the 26th of April in the election year, at a time where we were not even sure whether we were going to have a great alliance or not. Everything came in late and he had just about 4 months to campaign. He was able to double the votes and add more, move from 1.2 million to 2.8 million. Dr. Bawumia's performance, which is the worst in our history as a party, and when I say worst, showed a steep decline, where in a previous election, 2020 election, where we had 6.7 million votes, he reduced those votes from 6.7 to 4.6. This clearly showed that our election or his candidature was not formidable. An election where, as flag bearer, he only won 79 constituencies out of the 276. An election where in the whole of Upper East, MPP has no parliamentary seats. The whole of Upper West, MPP has no parliamentary seats. Even in his own hometown, Northeast, we share the seats 3-3. In an election where he promised to get us to that, because he's from the Northerners are going to vote for MPP, and it didn't happen. In an election where he promised that because he's a Zongo person, Zongo people are going to vote for MPP, and it didn't happen. The whole Ghana MPP won only one Zongo community. And we've been very clear. We talk about Zongos, we talk about our communities. Communities made, when we talk about the whole community, the community as a whole, which consists of a couple of polling stations. They now try to twist the argument that he won some polling stations. You're not talking about a polling station, you're talking about the community as a whole. There are thousands, I think there are about 1,000 Zongo communities in Ghana, and out of all these Zongo communities, MPP just won one. That one was in the Futu Zongo. When our candidates claimed that he was a Zongo person and Zongo people vote for him, it didn't happen. So on what grounds would Team Fodjo say that Dr. Bawumia is the best bet for us to win 2028? The data doesn't support it. His performance doesn't support it. All the things that he promised us, he promised to do, doesn't support it.
So you think that Dr. Bawumia cannot lead the party in 2028?
He cannot lead us to victory in 2028. And this is supported by the data.
I see. Who do you think is the best? Your candidate?
Obviously.
Why do you think your candidate is better than Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia?
Because
what's the track record of
Honorable Kennedy ticks a lot of boxes that Ghanaians are looking for.
Okay.
As of now. When you look at our all national security reports that come in year out, the biggest national security threat to Ghana now is unemployment. Ghanaians are looking for someone who can give them employment. And I mean, it's sad. Since I finished my university over 10 years ago, a lot of my colleagues still call me today, Kobe, don't you have any job for us? Kobe, don't you know anyone who will help us with a job? And I mean, sometimes because of the exposure we get from politics, because we are seeing on TV, people may think that we may have so many opportunities that we can help them with. So that's demand, even when it comes to opportunities and all, is high on us, like from that perspective. Honorable Kennedy is someone who has proven to be a job creator. So for what is deemed to be our biggest problem as a nation, Honorable Kennedy himself has proven to be a job creator in his own right. And as an individual, he has created 7,350 jobs as of now per the last count. He has other factories. For instance, he has a steel factory that if once he's able to connect electricity, the job demand alone is 1,000 jobs. So, and looking at even MPP is a party that believes in property owning democracy. MPP is a party that believes in private sector led job creation. So when it comes to private sector led job creation, Honorable Kennedy is a person who understands the cry of the private sector. He understands how and what it takes to create jobs in the private sector. He understands the barriers that businessmen in the private sector face, the challenges that they face. So given this opportunity, he will be able to correct all these wrongs to help the private sector create jobs for us. You see, the World Bank, IMF, all international organizations, or our keep telling us that our way of job creation is not sustainable. It's not sustainable to expect the government to create jobs for everybody. You need government to empower the private sector to create jobs. And that's how come sometimes we have troubles where we overhire in the public sector, even that is just something very little of what our actual capacity is, of what our actual job, our actual unemployment needs are. We overhire, and we now have debt crisis. I remember, if you remember, there was this time where even when we were in an IMF program, one of the conditionalities was that government cannot employ anybody, and I think that was even one of the things that led to President Mahama losing the 2016 election, because I mean, even with the few people government was employing, there was a cease on that public sector employment, and governments as of that time and successive governments have not really been able to crack the code as to how to create sustainable jobs through private sector en masse to reduce the unemployment burden. Ghanaians believe Honorable Kennedy as that person who can do that for them, because they've seen his track record. They've seen him build the largest cold store in Africa. They've seen him build the largest steel factory in Africa. They've seen him build a huge real estate portfolio which employs so many people. They've seen the factories that he has built in Asendompem, his hometown, and they believe he can do this. Two, we are at a point in time where Ghanaians are looking for a disciplined leader, a leader who can crack the whip, a leader who can say that his own relative is not doing the right thing and he will call him to order, a leader who can call the people within his fold to order. And because we are not really getting that as a nation, it's even becoming unfortunate where sometimes people sit down and they even crave military governance, not looking at all the other negative sides, but just by virtue of the fact that they think a military leader will be disciplined. Sometimes you hear people, you have conversations with people and say they even believe, they wish there was a military leader, which is actually a very dangerous thing to say. I remember, I don't know if you also remember, during President Mahamad's inauguration, if you remember the heads of states from various countries who came to Ghana, who was the most cheered? Do you remember?
Yeah, Traore,
the military leader.
Yeah.
Because people are craving for a certain sense of discipline. Thankfully, the MPP has someone who can be a democratic leader and still give you the people that kind of discipline that Ghanaians are looking for. So people see him as that whip cracker, as that person who would discipline his own people. I remember I was talking to his son Kenneth recently, and he said he came to Ghana one time and he overstayed, and he went to the airport and the immigration people told him he had to pay a penalty because he had overstayed, and he was trying to, you know who I am, let me call my dad. They called his father. And he said,
I heard the story.
He explained everything to him. I said, woman in Tria. I heard that story. It was very clear with him. His own people, he makes sure that, like that kind of discipline is there. Even if you are doing it against his opponent or something, as I was saying, something that ordinarily you think that he's the ultimate beneficiary, he's still able to crack your whip.
Now we have just 3 minutes to go. I want to take your opinion on this. On persons who are equally putting themselves up for the chairmanship position of the party. Few names, we've heard few names, like Agyapong, he has declared. I saw flyers of Nana Komia, and then we also heard that Untumi is lacing his boots and stuff like that to come. I don't know who are the other persons who join and stuff like that, but who do you think will be the best person to lead the party?
Even though I know, I want to say, because once I make such a comment, looking at how close I am to Honorable Ken, it look as if they can Agyapong.
That will be the choice of Honorable Agyapong.
Or they come certain candidates.
You are supporting. Okay, I get it.
I mean, there are people like someone like Agyapong. I mean, he's someone that I like so much, and he's an advanced man. He went to the best school in Ghana.
I see.
So I like him so much. I'm excited that he's coming to the race. Someone like John Boadu is someone that I interact with. I like and respect him.
Oh, John is also coming.
Yes, John Boadu is also coming.
He's a fine gentleman.
I like and respect him very much. Chairman, to me, I shout to original chairman. Yes, to be very honest, I won't support him for chairmanship. I think for him for obvious reasons.
What about Nana Komia?
Obvious reasons because
because he supports Bawumia. Okay.
So for instance, the whole regional chairman of a great party in the party's constituency, region like the Ashanti region, actually coming out to talk about coming out to say that the party has skewed things in favor of one person. Regional chairman going against the rules of the party, leading the campaign of one member, one aspirant in the party against the rules of the party. I don't think that such conduct warrants, or we need such person to be the national chairman. Otherwise, if with Chairman Muntumi as national chairman, he will be a chairman who will hold his candidate. I am the national chairman. This is the candidate I want. All of you vote for him. In fact, I want to be that we vote to contest.
Okay.
I don't think that's sort of leadership. Even though I think if you talk to him personally, you like him very much. But when it comes to leadership, I don't think that he's someone that I will support.
Right.
But with the rest of them, I think I wish them well. Just that I don't know if the Nakomia was brought by Dr. Bawumia to as a way of sidelining Chabawo to me after the hits that he's been through in recent times. But we live to see. But yes, I have my choice. If I'm supposed to vote today, I know who I'm going to vote for. But I don't want to create the impression that who my personal choice is the candidate of thinking.
Abusiana we ne nsam a wode atodwa a me pese ekotie bi ba ampa yakwa akotie bi edia ba ne emu ensensam odidi ho a me ne yakwa akotie mu dia ba odama obaso na wonso akira wadwene subscribe to YouTube channel like na afi wo wi ana wasan ene afoforo wo mo etitiri ene bencheye na mo nso mache me no ka sei me camera guy edina ho a wo yesika sam tire se wo busa sika ne ade abusua me nso makra o se me meti camera enimu yi se me ntimi eni diska o na me camera guy de erudemvi wo beji wusisi nyame achade a wo de ama no wono ampa wo bo eduma e wo solid tv aha pa sanse eduma wo bona no de nanso no obi beka se enye wono no pe ma na wo mo ntini hujai busia me ni de oduma nkomo bana na kofi fuma sante gudi wadama makra
Bawumia.